Welcome, Central Indiana sports fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for my new podcast, Greg and His Friends Talk Sports. I'm your host, Greg Mengel, and every weekday afternoon, my friends and I are talking about whatever Central Indiana sports fans are talking about. And coming up today, Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, the 32nd anniversary of my Marine Corps boot camp graduation, a date that's seared into my mind, obviously. Anyway, coming up on the show today, Marian's women win the national title. The WNBA is officially back, and John Robertson and Michelle Garmon join me with their thoughts on the expectations for the Fever in 2026. The Pacers host Luka, Doncic, and LeBron James and the Lakers. And a look ahead to Thursday's NCAA regional semifinals, and a lot of stuff today. The Major League Baseball season kicks off tonight. Will Retherford and Paul Tipton will be here with their National League Central preview. Check out their season preview where they predicted all the divisions, released earlier today. And we have a Sweet 16 preview that's going to be out later tonight. Tomorrow we'll have an IndyCar preview with Elijah Poe previewing the race at Alabama. And on Thursday as well, Thursday evening probably, a Fever report with John and Michelle. We're going to hear a little of that coming up. By the way, recording this at 3:50. This is probably the latest I'll ever record. Expect Greg and His Friends Talk Sports every weekday around 1:30. Thanks so much for joining us. My friends and I will be back tomorrow. And here's what happened on Tuesday, March 24, 2026. And what happened is the Marian Knights made history with their third NAIA Women's National Championship, a 73-61 win over number one Dordt, Iowa, on Tuesday night in Sioux City, Iowa. It's their first national championship since they went back-to-back in 2016 and 17, and the first for second-year head coach Santana Anderson. Madison Bailey scored 23 points, and Abby McNally was named Tournament Most Valuable Player after having at least 16 points and 7 rebounds in all 6 tournament games. She finished with 17 points and 15 rebounds on Tuesday night. She finished her career with 2,200 points, 1,460 rebounds, and 66 career double-doubles. She also had 3 career 2020s, including one in the opening game in Sioux City against Campbellsville. Marian's last 2 titles came when the NAIA was split into 2 divisions, so this is their first single division title. The Knights finished 35-2, the best in program history. And in Kansas City, Freed Hardman from Tennessee defeated Langston, Oklahoma, 76-71 to win the men's NAIA title. The WNBA and its players have officially ratified a new 7-year labor deal, a deal that increases player salaries approximately 385%, with team salary caps increasing from $1.5 to $7 million, minimum salary up from $66,000 to $300,000, and a new supermax salary of $1.4 million. I did a Fever report with John Robertson and Michelle Garmon that will be out on Thursday afternoon or evening. Here's a segment on their expectations of the Fever in 2026. Well, guys, you have to be encouraged by the way Caitlin played in the World Cup qualifiers. Didn't play a ton of minutes, but was very productive.
She looked like old Caitlin, for sure. I'm really excited. The way she was playing looked good. I think she's going to be excellent. She's going to be fine. She looked great. World Cup wasn't that fun to watch. I tried watching it, and it wasn't that interesting to me. But Caitlin looked excellent.
I think she, when you just look at her, just even in general, I think she looks healthy, but she looks rested and refreshed.
If you look at interviews, I forget exactly where it was, but I read that she started last season not even feeling good, and they just played through it, and it's got worse and worse and worse. So this is the first season we're going to get full 100% Caitlin Clark from the beginning, hopefully.
Yes.
Can't wait. Does that make the Fever the favorites?
I don't know what it is on the sports books, but I would think so.
They'd have to be at least. They'd have to be in the top 3 of the favorites, I would believe.
According to DraftKings, the Lynx, Aces, and Fever are all essentially the same. Liberty too. all essentially the same odds to win. The Lynx barely the favorites over the Aces, 3-1 to plus 310, and then the Fever plus 425, the Liberty plus 370. All about even. I'd take the Fever.
Fever are only 3.5 to 1.
Well, don't you think? I think some of that is because people really aren't sure exactly what players are going to be wearing. When you see that list of free agents and the names on that list, it becomes very interesting. This spring could be very kind of exciting in Indianapolis. I'm looking to see who the Fever sign and getting excited about the season beginning and a healthy Caitlin Clark. And then fingers crossed, if the Pacers could finally, for the first time ever, get a number 1 pick.
I just want the Pacers to have a good season next year. It should be fun. But right now, I am locked in, laser focused on Fever season, and I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. Hopefully, I have finals tickets this year. I'll have first opportunity being a season ticket holder, but I'm just hoping the Fever make the finals. That'd be excellent.
Yes, it would.
This is the year, guys. We're going to get the Fever and then the Pacers back-to-back world champions, and it starts with the Fever right now.
Yes, it does.
I'm pumped.
Go check out the full podcast. It was a lot of fun with a lot of trash talk about other teams. And here's what's happening on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. The Pacers are at home against Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and the Lakers. The Lakers had a 9-game losing streak snapped Monday in Detroit and are currently 3rd in the West. The Pacers just ended a 16-game losing streak in Orlando Monday night. They have the league's worst record by a half game behind Washington and a game behind the Nets. The Kings are 2.5 games ahead of the Pacers, and that's the team they need to stay behind for the best odds in the upcoming draft lottery on May 10th. And former Pacer and current 76er Paul George is expected to return tonight from his 25-game PED suspension. That's against the Bulls in Philadelphia. And the 2026 MLB season officially gets underway tonight at 8 on Netflix. It'll be the Yankees against the Giants in San Francisco. Things get underway in earnest on Thursday with the Pirates and Mets at 1:15 on NBC. The Cubs host the Nationals at 2:20. The Reds host the Red Sox at 4:10. Our season preview and division predictions with Paul Tipton and Will Retherford was released earlier today. We previewed all of the divisions. Here's the NL Central. All right, well, let's get to everybody's favorite division, the only division that the world really cares about, and that's the National League Central. The favorite team of mine is the Cincinnati Reds. The favorite team of Will is the St. Louis Cardinals, and, of course, the Chicago Cubs are near and dear to Uncle Paul's heart as well. And, guys, this is the Reds' year. I'm just going to say, I really believe that they're going to win 98 to 102 games.
I don't know what to say, but their hitting until the last couple of days has been pretty impressive in the spring. I'm just not sure they have the arms, but I'd love to hear what Will says.
There's a better chance they finish last in the division than win 100 games, undoubtedly. With that being said, I think might be the best roster. Second best roster in the division behind the Cubs. I think the Brewers are going to win the division.
Through magic again?
It's not magic. It's just great management. It's great coaching. I think Pat Murphy is awesome. I love everything that he's about. I think that their pitching is always good. Their bullpen is always excellent. They've still got Abner Uribe. They still have Trevor McGill. Like, you get to the 7th inning and the Brewers have a lead, good luck. And I think they have the starters probably in the positional depth to get there.
No Peralta.
I don't think it matters. Freddie was awesome last year, but if they felt comfortable enough to move off of him, what they do, they traded Corbin Burns and conventionally said, they traded Corbin Burns. What's he do? He goes and blows both his arms, his legs, and his head off in Baltimore, pitches 5 times, goes to the Diamondbacks, gets injured. It doesn't matter. They're just, whatever they do, I have full faith that their organization is moving in the right direction. They're one of maybe 5 sports organizations in the entire world that I look at and say, if they did it, it was the right decision. It was the right call.
That has been the track record recently. Boy, their performance against the Dodgers was unbelievably bad. No carryover effect because it's not football, is what you're telling me.
No, I don't think so. It was bad, but
And the Brewers play in the regular season.
It's going to be interesting to see how they start.
Their offense was bad. They're also still young. There's still a lot of young guys in that lineup, first postseason experience. I get it. The conventional wisdom says is their carryover, but I'm kind of with Greg. They've always been an excellent regular season team. They struggle in the postseason, and that has been true. I can't think of many years since maybe 2007 that the Brewers haven't been good, like a top 10 team in baseball for at the better part of 20 years for the most part.
Yeah. Had a couple of swoons for a couple of years, but not very deep and not very long.
I can say with absolute certainty that the first 3 years after Christian Yelich was traded from the Marlins to the Brewers, there was not a better baseball player in the entire world than Christian Yelich. That dude hit a home run every single at-bat. And I know stats will say I'm wrong. You didn't watch the guy. He was absolutely ridiculous good.
That's how I felt about Albert Pujols. Just don't ever throw the guy a pitch. Just don't throw him a pitch. There's no point.
So you're excited about Matt McClain and Sal Stewart this year, huh, Greg?
I am. I don't know about Sal Stewart as much. And Will said the Brewers, one of the best organizations in baseball, and here we are talking about the Reds, one of the worst. But they have put together a really good roster. They've done a really good job the last few years in the draft for sure with the pitching. There's still some holes in the roster. Holes probably isn't the right word. Some places they could upgrade, but I think it's a solid lineup top to bottom. And then the pitching, really, if Burns, Lauder, and Williamson are anywhere near as good as we've seen and are expecting in their growth, you add that to Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott and maybe Nick Lodolo. Anyway, you throw in Suarez into the lineup, who will disappoint me throughout the year, I'm certain, but the guy hits a lot of home runs, which is very valuable, obviously. And
he's the toast of Venezuela right now.
No question about that.
Clutching up in the 9th inning of the Classic.
Right.
Yes.
Like he did in the World Series last year as well. So we've seen it a couple of times. With maybe it's different now, but he might be my most disliked Red of all time.
They are going to be fun to watch. They are going to be a loud offense. That is, I don't question that. I mean, I think Matt McClain, that Ellie, Sal Stewart can find that pop. I mean, Suarez is going to hit 35 home runs. I mean, it's just going to happen. He's that type of hitter. He's going to hit 35 home runs. I think Brian Hayes might be perhaps like the worst offensive player in the starting lineup in the entire NL Central. He's a bottom 3. The Cardinals probably have the other 2, would be my guess. One team, Greg, I do want to mention before we go on. The toughest series of any team with a losing record in the entire league will be the Pittsburgh Pirates. They are going to be a really hard team to beat, and you're going to have to grind to do it because their pitching staff is, if they just had a top 20 lineup, they would probably make the playoffs. That's how good I think their starting pitching is.
They're going to score more runs than they did last year, I bet.
Well, scoring 3 runs when you scored 2 last year is a huge upgrade for them. It's just not going to be enough. And I think the improvement in the offense will be why they're so hard to put away. I think they're just talent-wise offensively not good enough to probably win the division and probably even be 500. But they're having to face Chandler Skeens and whoever the third guy is. That's going to be a really tough 3 games.
Well, who was your pick in the division?
Craig, it's the Brewers. You can think whatever you want to think, but anything other than the Brewers would just be foolish.
Paul, Reds or Brewers?
I'm going to pick the Cubs.
Okay. So 3 different picks. Should be a fun year in the NL Central. And I'm telling you, the Reds are going to win 100 games. Don't doubt me. And the women's pro volleyball Indy Ignite are 15-3 and are in Grand Rapids tonight for their final game before the All-Star break. They currently have a 1-game lead on Dallas for the best record in the MLV. And transitioning to college basketball and the NCAA Tournament, some big news on Tuesday night. North Carolina has fired head coach and former Tar Heel star Hubert Davis. And CBS reports a record 10 million viewers per game in the first 2 rounds of the tournament. Interesting. And of course, the NCAA Tournament resumes Thursday with Purdue, Texas, and Arizona, Arkansas in the West on CBS, and Iowa, Nebraska, and Illinois, Houston in the South. Friday's matchups are Duke, St. John's, Michigan, Alabama, Michigan State, UConn, and Iowa State, Tennessee. The regional finals are Saturday in San Jose and Houston, and Sunday in Chicago and Washington, D.C. We will have a full Sweet 16 preview for you later this evening and a Purdue, Texas preview with Jake Dunn on this show tomorrow. He'll be back Friday as well with a recap. Thanks so much for joining us, my friends, and I will be back tomorrow. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.